I think we can probably do it that way. I think the trucks are probably a good shot, don't you?
Yeah, they are.
Audio okay? Everything sounds okay for you guys out there? Good. All right, we're ready. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. We're here at our Dumont Port of Entry on the westbound side of I-70. My name's Colonel Matthew Packard. I have the honor of serving as the Chief of the Colorado State Patrol, and I'm joined here today by the Deputy Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Transportation, Herman Stockinger, and we're going to talk to you today about the new law that's been implemented. It was the result of Senate Bill 24-100, and specifically want to talk about the importance of Colorado's chain law and the mandatory carry for commercial motor vehicles here, not only on the I-70 corridor, but on many other mountain corridors in our state as well. But let's start there. Today, on this Friday, the Colorado State Patrol, our Port of Entry, our troopers, our Motor Carrier Safety Group, we're out here doing a chain check, if you will, an operation. This is one of several weekly operations we will do throughout the winter season to make sure that commercial motor vehicles are complying with Colorado's mandatory chain law. What that law says, if you are traveling in this instance, on I-70, anywhere west of Morrison, and you're a commercial motor vehicle at 16,000 pounds or greater for a GVWR, you are required to have chains in your vehicle. And there's no exception to that rule. Again, if you're a CMV at 16,000 GVWR or greater, no questions asked, you are required to have chains in your vehicle. And keeping with that theme, if we find you and you do not have chains, you can expect a citation from the Colorado State Patrol. This is a no tolerance, 100% violation. You will receive a citation if you don't have those chains in the truck with you every single time. So please, we're doing this to prevent us from having to write that citation. Just get the chains, put them in your truck. One of the questions we get a lot, how many chains do we need to have? For every tire on a drive axle, every axle, you need to have a chain on both sides. If it's a power axle, it needs to have chains on both sides. On both axles is what we typically see on commercial trucks here along the corridor. But one of the neat things about the law in Colorado now is it's not just specific to I-70. That mandatory chain requirement expands to other significant mountain pass and mountain highways in Colorado. Highway 9, for example, between Frisco and Fairplay. We have Highway 285 west of Morrison, Highway 550 down in the southwest corner of the state, 160 west of Walsenburg. We also have Highway 40 here, really close to here, Empire and west. And if you're paying attention, that's a lot of our big mountain passes where we tend to have a lot of problems because of a lot of heavy snow. And at the end of the day, chains help keep trucks moving, adequate traction, the proper tires, all help keep traffic moving. And that's a big win for Colorado. It's a big win for our economy, and it's also a big win for safety. We know that when trucks aren't moving, traffic's not moving, that people are at risk, and particularly in our biggest snowstorms. We've all heard the stories of people getting stranded on the interstate or on other state highways because they can't move because the road isn't open. So you have my assurances from the patrol, and I'm confident you'll hear this from CDOT as well. We will do our part to do everything we can to keep traffic moving. Again, for safety, for the economy, and for even people that are hurt, that are trying to get ambulances out of the mountains, we need this road to move so they can get the help that they need. In addition to change, there's a couple other changes in the law that I'd like to highlight as well. With the new law that is now in place, there are certain portions of the I-70 corridor with the steepest grades and the most windy roads where commercial motor vehicles will be restricted to the right lane, restricted to stay out of that left lane. Those locations won't be hard to find. They'll be well signed. And in addition, there's also heightened speeding violations specifically for CMVs in portions like the Glenwood Canyon. We know that when we look at our crash data for commercial motor vehicles, excessive speed is the single largest, most contributing factor. And when you combine that with driver inexperience, particularly even an experienced driver without mountain experience, excessive speed can have significant, catastrophic, if not deadly consequences. So again, you have it from me, the Chief of the State Patrol, that We will enforce the laws vigorously, and we'll do that so we can keep I-70 and all of our state's highways, particularly in the mountains, moving safely. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy Executive Director of CDOT, Mr. Herman Stockinger.
Thanks, Chief Packard. You might wonder, with as beautiful a day as we have today, like, what are we doing out here talking about chain law? We've already had our first snow in Colorado. Our commercial motor vehicles to be prepared. They have a little bit of time to get their chains, but not too much time. So we want them to Colorado State Patrol. I think it's been as strong as it's ever been, particularly when it comes to dealing with our mountain corridors and the mountain driving. The Commercial Vehicle Highway Safety Measures Law, which is now in effect, as the chief said, is focused primarily on truck drivers traveling our Colorado mountain highways. It's really important legislation. It should go a long way to helping us keep the lanes open when people are wanting to get up to the mountains, to go skiing, or just to get home to their families. It's important that we have all of the appropriate equipment. You know, you'll hear us talk about things like be prepared with the blankets, with some food, with some water. Maybe more importantly, be there with your chains if you're a commercial motor vehicle. That's just so important. The initiatives are aimed at getting everyone on the road safely to their destination each and every day, whether that be for their jobs, for their recreation, or again, getting back to their families. We have a vital piece of this new law that we've articulated in our mountain rules, we call them. So Mountain Rules is a partnership between the Colorado State Patrol, our friends with the Colorado Motor Carriers Association, and CDOT. It's a comprehensive, strategy-focused effort to inform and educate our in-state and our out-of-state truckers. There's a lot of challenges. If you're from Florida and you're driving through, you may not think in October you're going to need chains. Or we've heard stories of people in their shorts getting out to try to put their chains on. It just doesn't work in Colorado. We have a Mountain Rules website. We have cards that have that information on it. The website's designed to provide truckers with all the information they need. There's tutorial videos on how to get your chains on, how to deal with overheated brakes that happen a lot on this corridor. And finally, we have a consistent reminder to the trucking community to go slow, be steady, and drive safe for the long haul. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the chief.
Thank you very much, Herman. And again, thank you all for being here. And I close my comments with some positive news. I'm very pleased to share with you that year to date, Colorado has experienced about an 8% decrease in fatal crashes involving commercial motor vehicles. So we have some progress to build upon. We are getting better, we are being safer, and let's keep 2024 moving in that direction and work hard to have a safe winter season that keeps I-70, Highway 9, 40, all of our mountain roads moving as safely and efficiently as we possibly can. And with that, we'll take questions. So the question from the Denver Post is, what specifically is new about the law? So the most obvious one here is the expansion of where mandatory carry is required. So previously there was a section of I-70 on the same time period from September 1st to May 31st. The old law was from Morrison to Dotsero, and now that law is from Morrison all the way west to the state law on I-70. In addition, the added mountain highway corridors is new. So the inclusion of 9, 160, 550, Highway 50, 40, that's all new that hadn't been in the law before. In addition to the double fines for CMV speeding in Glenwood Canyon and the lane restriction on various spots on I-70. We can, in fact, we'll look at a follow-up press release with some enforcement data. I can tell you that last year, the Colorado State Patrol issued just over 1,000 violations of the mandatory carry law. Again, that was the legacy law. This year today, in fact, in our operation today, as of about 15 minutes ago, we'd written 13 citations just here in Dumont. An estimate, I'm guessing we're about 150 statewide so far in just this winter season, and we're only a month in.
Is this the first winter season that this law
Yeah, yes, this is the first winter season that the new law is in effect. Yes.
And Chief, could you tell that story once again? The bottom line is, these CMVs don't have chains, or the chains are not put on the CMV. Tell us the story about what happened on the mountain highway.
Yeah, and if I can, I'm going to build back to something that Herman said. Is the weather here in Colorado is unpredictable, and anybody that's lived here for more than about a week and a half knows that to be true. Here we are in October, coming off a week where we had 90-degree temperatures, but we know you can get on the other side of the Eisenhower Tunnel, and it could be raining or snowing. And so the reason for the mandatory requirement is you just don't know what you're going to encounter when you leave the flatlands to go up over I-70 or the other mountain highways. So that's why the law requires you to have the equipment that you're going to need to get over these mountain highways. And when you aren't properly equipped, there's a better than not shot that you're going to get stuck going up some of these big grades like at Georgetown Hill or the tunnel grade or on Wolf Creek or some of these. And when the highway closes, just the economic impact alone is estimated to the state's economy at $2 million an hour. For an I-70 closure, for 1 hour, costs our state's economy $2 million. But it's much bigger than the financial side of this. It's life safety. People get stuck. They don't have food or water, or they don't have their prescription medications. But one of the other challenges we come across is there medical care that is not available in the mountains that is back in the cities, like in Grand Junction and Denver. And when you can't get home from your ski trip, either can the ambulance from the hospital in Grand County. So it is vitally important, not only to our economy, but to the health and safety of Coloradans, to have this highway moving as efficiently as possible. So the question is, how often are we going to check? And I will tell you that we'll do these checks every day. Every trooper that's working in the mountain, all of our port of entry officers, and even some of our partner agencies have been asked to focus on mandatory chain. If they're interacting with a commercial motor vehicle on a traffic stop or in some other instance, you can count on being asked to ensure that you have chains in the vehicle. Now, specifically the operations like what's going on today is we will do a dedicated mandatory carry operation once a week throughout the winter, and that will change which day of the week it is, but we will make sure that we're focused on this issue in particular. So I think the way I'll answer that is we can count the crashes, if you will, but I think in this conversation, if I could be so bold, the most impactful thing is how long the road's closed, or how long traffic can't flow as it normally would. And that is data that I can, not to speak on behalf of CDOT, but they absolutely track lane closure and how long that happens. And I can share with you anecdotally, last year we did better than we did in 2022. We had fewer longer closures. But the weather was different as well. But part of our operational tempo is to do what we can to get roads open as quickly as possible. And the fact of the matter is, that's harder to do when crashes involve commercial motor vehicles. They're bigger, they're heavier, and when they crash into things, it results in more damage. So our goal here is to prevent that from happening altogether, and then we can move. And to do that, just bring chains. I'd like to say I'm not surprised, but I'll tell you, when we do this work, we wear reflective clothes. We shout from the highest mountains, hey, we're doing this today. We want you to have chains. I will tell you, the trucking industry in Colorado is a loud voice for us as well. But our experience is most of our violations happen with out-of-state companies that don't have a lot of experience driving in Colorado's mountain roads. And so we will continue to work with our federal partners and do things like the mountain rules like you're talking about to provide that education. But the fact of the matter is, it's hard sometimes to get to some of those out-of-state places, certainly that are farther away from Colorado. All right. Appreciate y'all very much.